Hello, everyone. My name is Jay. Beside me is my lovely wife, R. And
Hi.
there she is. And we're going to be playing World of Warcraft Classic. Now, I'm 37, and I started playing World of Warcraft when I was 24, 25, and I fell in love with it due to being on all sorts of painkillers and crazy medications for Crohn's. It really took my mind off the world. It was just a great experience. And now that Warcraft has been such a part of my life for so long, it's really hard to explain to a newcomer what it's like. Like, I can log on to one of my characters and fly around, and you have no idea of any of the background, right?
Correct. I am a World of Warcraft virgin.
Alright, we'll go with that. So, now that Classic is back, I'm excited to show you the game that I, fell in love with. That my sister, also a J, fell in love with, and my brothers, and then how I met my best friend G. You're my best friend now, but I met G, and then the other people I've been playing with for 12 or 13 years.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first we have to determine, in World of Warcraft, we have to determine what race and class we need to be sort of simultaneously. And if we want to be the Alliance, which is basically the good guys, and then the Horde, which are like the bad guys. So on the Alliance side, you have humans. That was a mistake. Okay. So here on the Alliance side, you have humans. They're your typical human in fantasy. They can be mostly anything. They're bossy, they're arrogant, they're everywhere. And then you can be male or female. They're all well endowed, so don't worry about shirt sizes. There's only one type, and it's busty. You can be a warrior, where you're a fighter. You can have a sword and shield and be like a tank character, which means you take the aggression from monsters and keep it on yourself so that your other friends in the party don't take damage. Next is a paladin, which is like a holy warrior. You are like a warrior, but you have some magic. You can heal a little bit. You have magic that enhances your fighting abilities. And then with a different allotment of skills, you can also, instead of being a holy warrior, you can be a healer, where you cast healing spells and you don't worry about fighting much.
So why would you ever be the first one if you could be? Why would you be a warrior if you could be a paladin?
Well, warriors have different skills and skill traits. Warriors can run really fast at an enemy, which is called a charge. Warriors can stomp on the ground and do damage to everything around it and stun them, which is called thunder stomp. You can jump at your enemies. You can disarm them. You have different skills. But then a paladin has different skills. It's the same role, the role of a tank, but it is different in usage.
Okay.
It's probably not making much sense.
No.
Okay, so each class has skill points that can be allotted to 3 different subgroups of skills. Warriors can be an arms warrior, is what it's called, where they can use a weapon in each hand and fight really fast. There's a fury warrior. Arms uses big 2-handed swords. Fury warriors use 2 one-handed swords to attack really fast, and then you have a protection, where you use a shield and a sword, and you protect the group you're in. paladins have the three specs, which is a tanking spec with protection, a DPS damage per second, or damage class is retribution, which is equivalent to an armed or fury warrior just doing damage, and then they have a healing spec specialization. So with WoW Classic, you can distribute your points within the three subcategories fairly easily. So you could be a holy warrior paladin tank with a little bit of healing abilities, or with a little bit of damage abilities.
Okay.
And with warrior, you can be a little bit of tank and protection, but then a little bit of damage. It basically comes down to what type of tank do you want to be. They have different skills.
Okay.
Also, they don't. That doesn't matter for right now. Okay. Next is the rogue. Rogue only is DPS. So I guess the warrior is either DPS or tank. The paladin is all three: DPS, tank, or healer.
Okay.
The rogue is only DPS. The rogues are the sneaky people. They specialize in stealth, in doing stealth-like attacks, picking pockets, stunning, and then they can sap to make pulling groups of monsters easier. If there's 3 monsters that are tough, you can sap one. It's called crowd control, so that only 2 come to fight you.
Nothing about this guy looks stealthy.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then this lady... Okay, so rogue uses daggers or swords or maces and stealthy DPS. And then you have your priest, which is your standard healer. You heal things and you use holy light magic to smite your foes. You use your abilities to shield yourself and your friends from damage, and you do a little bit of damage yourself. You're not DPS, but you can quest by yourself. You can kill monsters by yourself. And priests have of the 3 specs. One of them is DPS, where they forego healing and they embrace shadow magic to become a shadow priest. And I hate shadow priests because as a rogue, which I was, I have died at the feet of shadow priests more time than I can count. I'm in combat, I'm fighting my little heart out, I'm almost dead, and I run to a priest and I say, "Priest, heal me!" And then I look and it's a shadow priest, and they're off not doing what they're supposed to do, not healing. They're obnoxious. Okay.
Right.
So then you have mages. This is, I would say, the strongest DPS class. This is an only DPS class. They have magic, and they can specialize in fire, or in frost, or in arcane, which is just like pure magical energy. They are good at doing damage to... They can specialize in doing damage to single targets or groups of targets. They are very fragile, but they're very strong damage output. Warlocks, I would say, are the second most damaging DPS class. They're only DPS. Warlocks deal in shadow magic. They can have a pet that can do all sorts of things. They have a pet that can tank for them, like a void walker. It's like this big black creature has I'm Genie from the Lamp gauntlets on it, and you can get a little imp that shoots fireballs. This class specializes in what are called dots, damage over time. So as a mage does direct damage, you shoot a fireball, hits you in the face, it does 10 damage. Warlocks can put a curse on you, a curse of agony or corruption, where you take 2 damage every few seconds until you've done 10 damage. But they can cast multiple dots and then do direct damage. So they don't do a lot of burst up front, but they can do a lot of damage over time. And with their different pets, they can take multiple groups of enemies, put dots on all of them, and then just do your direct damage to one until you kill it. And then the next one you start fighting is already mostly dead from your dots.
Like, what kind of pets are we talking about?
A little
hedgehogs?
No. An imp that shoots fireballs, a demonic doggy, a succubus lady who has a whip and seduces people. I can tell by the look on your face you're not into SM, so that's probably a bad one. A void walker, which is just like a big lump of shadow. Probably you're not your forte.
A big lump of shadow?
It's
It's like not even a pet.
Well, they're like servants rather than pets. They're like demon pets. They're dense.
It's dumb.
Okay.
Okay.
So then now next you have dwarves, but the difference between humans and dwarves, besides their height and dwarves are ugly, is the hunter class. Now I think this one's for you. Hunters are ranged DPS only, but they can have pets, like a hedgehog.
Like an actual pet.
Like an actual pet. You can have cats, you can have wolves, velociraptors, big lizards, bats, birds, all sorts of different things. And then hunters fight with either guns or bows from a distance. They're probably, of the non-magic, I'd say hunters do the most DPS, because they not only do they do a lot of damage, but their pets do a lot of damage.
Okay.
Okay. We're recording for 12 minutes. Okay, so then we're gonna get off female because they're terribly ugly, but I think a hunter's for you. And then the last class we need to talk about is Druid. Now, only Night Elves on Alliance side, and only Taurens, the big cow creatures on Horde side, can be Druids. Druids are nature warriors they're like the basic equivalent of nature paladins. They can be a DPS, a tank, or a healer. So, they can specialize in shape changing, where they turn into a kitty cat, like a panther or something, to do damage like a rogue, or they can turn into a bear and tank like a warrior.
Okay.
They can also do nature spells and call moon magic from the sky and shoot spells kind of like a mage. And then they have healing, which is specialized, different from the priest, who does direct heals and shields. The druids do hots, heals over time. So like the warlocks, dots, hots heal slowly, but little bits at a time.
Okay.
They are very good at playing by themselves, since you can be a kitty and sneak somewhere, turn into your caster form, shoot a bunch of stuff. If you pull too many things, you can turn into a bear, maybe survive the encounter. I like druids.
So is there some sort of like quiz, like determine your spirit World of Warcraft character, so you know what fits your personality best?
I'm speechless. I'm sure there is. Just like you're Joey from Friends.
Correct.
I don't know. Okay.
Somebody should figure that out.
So that's the class overview real quick.
Okay.
And then it doesn't really matter. If you start playing a class and you hate it, you can make a new one. So now we're going to go over races real quick. Human, bog standard. I'm a human. We're everywhere. They're obnoxious. They're like all humans in fantasy. You don't read a lot of fantasy or know about fantasy. That's okay. They're dwarves. These are mountain-faring folk.
Why do you think that I should be a dwarf?
I don't think you should be a dwarf. I think you should be a hunter.
Which is a dwarf?
No, night elves can also be hunters.
Okay.
Jay, Sister Jay, loves hunters.
Dwarfs are fat.
Dwarves are muscly.
Do you think I'm fat?
No, you are not. Well, your beard is kind of the same, but dwarves, they're fine. They're not anything special. And then you have your druid, which are at one with nature and the world, and they live in a big tree, and they live for thousands of years, so they're melodramatic, and they don't really care about conflicts that are happening now, because in 1,000 years, who cares? One of their great abilities that they get from, two great abilities they get from just being an elf, is that every few minutes they can shadow meld, where they stealth. And that's super helpful if you... I guess if we're not going to be playing on a player versus player server, it doesn't really matter. But you can stealth so enemies can't find you. You can't really move, but you can still stealth. It's handy. And also, when you're dead, you turn into a wisp form and you move faster, so you can get back to your body. Which is a plus, since most likely you, are going to be dying a bunch.
Okay.
And lastly, you have gnomes. The female gnome. And you can have your Princess Leia.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that.
Gnomes are intelligent. They're tinkerers. They make gadgets.
I don't want to be a gnome.
Clever. Okay. So that's where we're going to leave it for this first episode. Next episode, I'm going to tell you about the Horde side. And then we
I thought we were going to make one.
Oh, we're going to make one. I just have to tell you now about the Horde races.
Oh, okay.
And then the difference between Horde and Alliance.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks everyone. We'll be back.